6 AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. XAU, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI.
Okay, what's up people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well as always. If you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, it does really help out, and of course make sure you do hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Share it with your friends, it does really help promote the channel, so I do really appreciate that. But yeah guys, we've got an interesting day ahead. We've had a lot of movement in the past 24 hours, a lot of movement regarding the USD with the news yesterday. So we're going to do a quick recap of that and plan what's ahead, not only for today, but of course going into next week as well. If you do have any requests, any pairs you're looking at, any markets you're currently trading or looking to trade, feel free to share it with the group. We'll take a look, discuss, see what's going on. Any kind of markets I'm looking to trade, I'll let you guys know as well. Welcome to the stream, Yoshi. Hope you're doing good. Good morning, Mata. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Okay, we'll take a look at pound USD. How much do you bag in a week and month? Again, I'm not sharing the finances with you, Mata, but I can share my trades and what I do take, because of course that's what's going to help you at the end of the day. But yeah, that is not something I want to share on social media, really. Deity, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Do I need an editor? Not at the moment, but appreciate the offer. Livia, hope I'm saying that correctly. Yes, we could take a look at pound CAD. Rexus, good morning, my man. Hope you are doing good. We'll take a look at a bunch of USD pairs first. We'll go through the DXY, USD majors, and gold and silver. We'll take a look at those, and then I'll go through some requests and some other minor pairs. So if you do have any requests, just drop it in the chat and I will eventually get to it. But we shall start with the DXY as always. So going into detail with the dollar, we were literally, well, we were trading around this area here yesterday, and then of course this is where the news came in after the stream, and now we've approached some resistance supply to our left. So I'm still very much bullish on the dollar, expecting higher prices, but we have to be a bit careful because this is where sellers are lurking, and I can see potentially price going for a bit of a bearish move, but I just anticipate that as retracement for now, for price to see higher prices. So we might go for a little bit of a dip, which probably is healthy because we've had a really big bullish move, testing some key resistance, a bit of a dip, nothing wrong with that. Even a push back to this area does look good. Especially on like a 4-hour hourly chart. But I am looking at a bit more downside before taking the dollar to the upside, because again, we do have to pay a lot of respect to the current trend, which is still technically bearish. We are still printing these major lower highs. There's one over there, we created a new low. There's another lower high over there, we just about created a new low as well. So the way I see it, the market is still bearish. I mean, you just create a new low. It's not like it was, you know, crazy. It was just a pinch at the low, but a new low nonetheless. And now we've of course seen some upside. So I'm looking at a bit of downside and another move up. But as we do come back to territory around here, again, being a bit more careful, we could still see a lower high and could still see lower prices. So the way I see it for now, USD buys look good from an intraday perspective. I'm not looking at long-term buys, I'm not looking at swing buys. Maybe the most, maybe a couple days, maybe 3 days. But I don't see much more upside than that, especially when we start hitting around 99. That's the time to start to be a bit more careful and keep an eye out for some selling opportunities potentially next week. But for now, really strong move to the upside past couple days. We are coming into resistance supply to our left, so being a little bit careful because of that, but I still do expect upside nonetheless. So we might see a bit of retracement, which will be good because that'll give us a good opportunity to get into the market and then take some buys there. But of course, maybe shorting the euro or shorting pound or buying dollar CHF, whichever USD pair, really, we're probably going to get the same move or a similar move. So that's really that's really the plan for me. Just looking for pullbacks and upside on the dollar, especially intraday. So taking a look at euro, pretty much the exact opposite. We've had a really nice bearish leg. Of course, you can see we've come back into some lows here, so being a bit cautious. We did just about spike through that, so that's quite telling to me for euro. Again, if I expand to the higher time frames, euro as a whole is still relatively bullish. So again, not getting too carried away with the short bias, not getting too carried away with these two bearish candles here, because if you're very zoomed in on the lower time frames, these two bearish days look really, really bearish and prices just been, melting. But if you zoom out, look at the bigger picture, these two candles barely have any significance. This move here, in retrospect, didn't have much significance either, but this was really bearish. So sometimes just zooming out, look at the bigger picture, puts things in context. And that bearish move there, yes, we've seen some downside. Yes, we're probably likely to see a bit more downside, but something like this could very much still happen. So not getting too carried away with the short bias for now, just looking at smaller intraday positions, a day or two, and then maybe we call it a day there. But yeah, I'm pretty bearish on euro as well, and just looking for a pullback. It would be very nice to see a pullback into this area roughly, just around 1.172. If the market would be kind enough to pull back there, that would be beautiful. Not too sure if we will see that. Looking at the 15-minute chart, I mean, this is a really nice correction. It's a little bit too tight for my liking. Normally I like either to pick the lows of the pullback or either buy on the breakout. And this is just a little bit too tight. Maybe if we have an up move, sell off a bit more, then that might interest me. I mean, maybe we do continue from here. Maybe we do, but yeah, it's just a bit too tight, because if I was to find an entry, it would have had to be in this candle here. And that would be my first target. It would have had to be, because that's where the most recent resistance is, and that's of course where we had the last sell, and it's just a little bit too tight for my liking there. So that's my only criticism of euro, potentially those shorts there. But yeah, in retrospect as well, looking back, I probably would want a bigger trade, because if I was to enter a trade there and then we would see the bigger pullback anyway, I'll be like, I should have been patient enough to wait for the bigger pullback. So yeah, I still would want to see a bigger pullback. Dollar CHF looks a bit better. We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, I do expect more downside, whether we collapse from here or we see a bigger pullback today. Either which way, I am looking for pullbacks and more downside. In terms of pound USD, same there as well. Really, really bearish from pound yesterday. We actually just about spiked through this low here as well. So it looks to me that price has basically failed at its attempt to continue the bullish trend. So, price has been relatively bullish for the past year pretty much, or since the start of the year. We've tried to continue that trend, tried to push back to highs. That's failed. We've come back below significant resistance, and now price is back trading at support and with a lot of force as well. So the way I see pound USD unfolding over the next 2-3 days would be again another pullback, and again more downside, and perhaps a push back into these lows. So I'm pretty bearish on pound USD, very much the same outlook as euro. I would argue pound USD is probably the better short for now, because euro, we still do have that up slant, we still do have that bullish trend to think about. Pound USD, I would argue, is more of a flat pair. So you can probably get away with shorts a bit better, because you don't have that natural tendency for price to drift higher in the trend we have. We've been really, really flat for a while. Of course, euro is a bit flat as well, but pound USD, not as much. So yeah, if we can get that pullback, I think shorts will look really good. Again, ideally, it would be nice to get a pullback into this area. Do we have enough energy to get there? I'm not too sure. If I look at the intraday situation, again, not too bad there. Not quite doing it enough for me. Maybe if we again have a slightly bigger move and then sell off again, and then that might interest me. Because at least with this type of move, if I was to get into some lows here, I can trade it back to high, and that would still be a decent trade within itself. Then of course, maybe if things do really play out, I can take it back to the prior swing high. Here, if I get into a long, that's already my first target. It's just a little bit too corrective for me. Not to say that price can't continue, just thinking from a trading perspective, it's not quite how I want it to look. And especially if you look to the left here, we are trading in a little bit of an area which I'll be a bit careful in. You know, price is just taking out major lows here. So we can be a bit sensitive in this area. I wouldn't want to sell directly into that. Rather a deeper pullback away from that zone. And then hopefully take some shorts from there and get some more downside. So that's very much the plan there with pound USD. In terms of dollar CAD, of course, very bullish as well. Very, very bullish, in fact. Taking out the highs there too, like it's not, like they weren't even there. Really, really bullish. Okay, so what's the plan now with dollar CAD? Well, I wouldn't, again, the market is very bullish, but I wouldn't want to be buying this one. We've just taken out some major highs. This one's a bit too bullish. I like euro because we're just about turning around. I like pound because we're just about turning around. Here, we've seen a very aggressive move, take out major resistance, and now, again, we're still approaching areas of supply to our left there. And you can see the last time price swept the high, we came straight back down, sweeping the high again. I would just be a little bit sketchy about price doing something like that. Of course, if USD is going to be strong, yeah, maybe we do break to the upside, maybe we do continue, but still, this is just a very sensitive area. I like kind of grouping the market in terms of areas. This is a seller's area, this is a buyer's area. For me, this is still very much bearish territory. So I'd be very, very careful about taking any buys, even despite how bullish the USD is looking at the moment. So dollar CAD, I'm not really interested in buying this one. If anything, sells make the most sense. Let's say if price was to close back below resistance here, that could actually be a nice short. Again, you do have USD going against you at the moment, so maybe in terms of correlation, not the best short in terms of the current conditions, but in terms of just looking at the technicals exclusively, I do think you're well positioned. You have a safe stop loss, and if you do catch a reaction, there's a lot of downside opportunity. So dollar CAD, a bit of a crossroad. I'm not really keen on buying because of where we're located. Not really keen on selling because of what I expect from the dollar. So I'm gonna just stay on the sidelines with USD CAD for now. Not really optimal for either situation, really. In terms of Aussie dollar, this one's been very bearish. Really nice drop yesterday. Broke out that consolidation and really made its move to the downside. I did say I was going to keep an eye for some buying opportunities around here, but it's not moving how I want it to move. I want price to be a bit more corrective, a bit more slower, if that makes sense, on its descent back into that zone. This was really aggressive and not shaping out how I want it to. It looks to me that Aussie dollar has just kind of swept the highs here, and now we're kind of seeing the sell. So my bias now with Aussie dollar, again, would just be a correction and then some more downside, perhaps a push back into some of these lows. So I'm pretty bearish on this one. It would be nice to see a retest of this area. That would be a great place to find a short. Dropping intraday, we're already looking quite bearish. I would argue we're kind of consolidating at the moment, but momentum is clearly with the sellers at the moment here. So we might just spill over and continue falling. If that's the case, yeah, I won't be looking to try and participate in that. If we can find support and get a deeper pullback, great. I think there's opportunities to short this and continue that bearish momentum. So still very bearish in Aussie dollar. Don't quite see an opportunity just yet. Do want to see a bit more upside for a deeper pullback. I still do expect lower prices. I wouldn't really be surprised if we end up back here as well. So I can really see price selling off, all because I'm not quite convinced with this uptrend. This uptrend has never convinced me, which is why I have been very reluctant to try and buy Aussie dollar, because this is just a really corrective up move. And from my experience, when you're seeing corrective moves like this, sooner or later they do hit a top and they do see pretty aggressive momentum in the opposite direction. And this is a sign of a market running out of steam and likely to eventually do that. Of course, that won't happen every time. Sometimes price will gather momentum and break out higher, but it's a not likely outcome. So I've been kind of trying to plan the shorts. I did say I was looking to try and short Aussie dollar a couple of weeks ago at the high there. Unfortunately, just didn't get entry, or maybe fortunately I didn't get an entry because I would have taken a loss there, because that would have definitely taken me out of the position. But yeah, Aussie dollar looking pretty bearish now. I do expect more downside. So pullbacks and shorts look good for this one. And again, for New Zealand dollar, we've been looking pretty bearish as well. We've taken out some major lows here too. So again, I'm not so enthusiastic about looking to sell this one simply because of the prices of where we're trading. We've been very, very corrective. You can see every time price creates a new low, we have a very deep pullback. And now price just created another new low. So again, do I want to keep shorting that? No, not really. Yeah, it's just not optimal. If price was still higher up or still has a little bit of a way to go to get back to a prior low, then that would be a nice opportunity because I can trade it to the low. Now that price is broken through, it's kind of an awkward situation, similar to dollar CAD as well. Now I'm kind of looking for a bit more of a deeper pullback, even if we are going to see lower prices. But yeah, clearly New Zealand dollar is looking really bearish. I think on the weekly chart, things are looking very interesting. This does have the shape of potentially a big lower high forming, similar to what we did over there. We could be seeing another one of those forming, which could take us back down to this area. So it could actually mean a lot more downside for New Zealand dollar. Looking at the higher time frames of the weekly chart, it could mean a push back to 0.55 potentially. So yeah, I would be pretty bearish longer term with this one, and I do think shorts are the play. I just don't think shorts are the play necessarily right now because of the context of how we're moving, the fact we're just taking out big lows, just really an awkward place to be shorting. But yeah, I will be looking for shorts over the next few days. In terms of gold, I was in a position yesterday, but I did exit just before the news really. As price came back to my entry, I decided just to get out of the position because we had a really nice dump in my favor right at the end of the stream yesterday. So stop loss was around there somewhere. I was targeting this low and we had a nice bearish leg here. And then as price came back up, I think this was like 12.45, something like that, or maybe approaching 1. I decided to close the trade because I didn't want to now go back into drawdown, especially because I was going to close the trade anyway, because we had the news coming out in about half an hour, 45 minutes time. So I decided as soon as price got to my entry, I just closed the position. Of course, if I did hold the position, it would have been a nice move. Didn't quite get to targets either. I would have hit the first target, which was this low. So I would have walked away with some profit, but not quite this low here where I would have closed the whole position. So yeah, I mean, let's say if I didn't get out the trade, it would have been like a partial win because I would have took profits here, moved stops to break even, and this would have gone and taken me out of my rest of my position. So yeah, it would have been a small win, but unfortunately not the case. But again, we had news coming up, and in this instance, news was in my favor. In another example, news could have gone against me, and then exiting the trade early would have looked like a brilliant move. So yeah, it's one of those situations where, okay, the news has gone for you, but you exited the trade. In a different parallel universe, the opposite happened. There's not much we can do really. But the analysis played out pretty well, so I'm happy with that. Again, just looking for the next lower high. Of course, didn't quite get back to low, so we didn't really see a new low created, but there was a nice bearish leg to take advantage of. It was an aggressive position, which is why I did reduce risk getting into the trade because, of course, gold has been so bullish over the past few days. I mean, look how bullish that is. Trying to take shorts in this market is always going to be difficult. So when you are going counter trend, you have to make sure you do time things well, be super patient, and even sometimes just reduce risk in general because you just don't have probability in your favor. But yeah, nice push down. Now gold is really flat. So what is my take on gold next? Well, I still do have that short bias, believe it or not. I still do think gold can see another push down. Don't get me wrong, this is still very corrective behavior. So this still does look like a retracement to me. So I do think if price is going to go lower, something like this is probably going to happen. Maybe price comes back and retests the prior high. It's at 3,700, big psychological level. Could see price being drawn to that area before continuing its next bullish leg. So I can see price doing something like that. But in the meantime, I do think there's still shorts to be taken advantage of. You can see we've had a really aggressive bearish candle on the 4-hour chart here, and price is still kind of trading within that range of that candle. I think price is just finding it really hard to continue higher. I do think price is just going to drop at some point, especially with USD being strong. That could add some vital confidence to help this fall. But in terms of entries, that's the tricky part. If I'm going to take a short entry again, I would need price back at highs over here, because again, this is the supply zone which I was selling from. So I need price roughly back there again in a similar pattern that we did over here. Kind of just swept the high, then we get the move. Looking for price to pretty much do the exact same thing at the high there. That way I can get stop loss above all the noise here, because this is all noise to me. This is price just, messing around back and forth. I don't want to get involved in here, but I want to get involved up here away from the noise, and then hopefully do catch a move back into the lows and maybe a push to 3,700. So gold shorts is still what I'm after. Maybe we do see price push that to that area later in the stream. We'll have to keep an eye out, but I am still eyeing up gold shorts. The only way I don't eye up gold shorts is if, of course, price moves without me, or we break this really aggressively and start taking out this high, and then of course this high too. Then I'll back away. But for now, I do quite like what I'm seeing with the shorts. And silver, still I'm not really interested in. I do think silver's tiring though, so I'm not necessarily looking to try and buy this one either, or sell it. Gold, you've got those consistent lower highs. Silver's actually still making higher highs and higher lows here, so this is still a very bullish market. So I wouldn't want to short this. But would I want to long it? No. I'm still seeing a lot of really aggressive bearish pressure coming into the market as well. So that's a sign that, okay, we're starting to tire. Let's cool it down. So I do think silver's in a bit of a crossroad where we might fizzle out and have a deeper pullback soon. We have hit a big psychological level of 45, so that could instigate it potentially. But yeah, as for gold, I still do like the downside. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD. A lot to get through there, and I still want to touch on dollar CHF. That's USD pair which I like. I still like dollar yen as well. We just had a breakout on that one. USD JPY is looking really good for the longs. I think it's still a little bit early to buy it, but maybe early next week there's some decent longs to look into there. And of course, gold shorts, I'm still going to eye that up. What's up, Omar? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Pound CAD, we'll take a look at that one. Livia, no problem. Pound Aussie, we'll add that to the list as well. Yusuf, what is up? Hope you're doing good. Did you close your... Yeah, I did close the trade before the news, unfortunately. I was just watching the news, watching price fall, and I was like, okay. So this is the situation, because of course in the 4-hour chart, I don't do that. I hold through the news. So if this was like a 4-hour time frame, I would have just held the trade. But 50-minute chart, of course it does hurt a little bit, being in the position, seeing it play out, and then you to exit early. Not a nice position to be in. But then again, on a different day, I could close the trade early, then price goes against me, and you kind of feel good about yourself getting out the trade early. So, sometimes it bites you, sometimes it's the opposite. And again, I'm still kind of experimenting with the 50-minute chart. My initial thought process is big news events, especially on like a volatile pair like gold. Get out the trade. I'll see how things go for the next few weeks, few months. Maybe I look to change that potentially, but it's way too early. I don't want to make a decision off one trade. Okay, next time let me stay in the trade through news because my last trade paid out. Not the best logic to go through. Anyway, guys, if you guys haven't signed up to the trading competition we have running for our Perks platform, I've dropped the link in the chat. Feel free to add your email if you're looking to sign up. Again, it's just a bit of fun. Get trading on the platform. It's something we've been working hard on for the past few months. It allows you to trade perps on the platform. In this case, a bunch of different cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and plenty other small ones as well. But we will be adding FX, commodities, indices to the platform very, very soon. You can connect with your Ethereum or Solana wallet if you don't have one, or you don't know how that works. There's plenty of YouTube videos. I can probably link some if you guys need some tutorials how to set that up. But if you do have an Ethereum or a Solana wallet, you can connect it directly to the platform and trade from that wallet on a demo server or live, depending which one you want to do. And we will be running competition. There will be cash prizes for the best traders. So again, it's just a bit of fun. Participate, test out the platform, use it. And if you do perform well, potentially could walk away with a cash price. So if you're interested, drop your email on using the link to the Google form, and more information regarding how the competition is going to work will be announced soon. So if you're interested, go check it out. But anyway, we'll go through some pairs. I do want to go through dollar CHF because that's something I'm currently looking at as well. But I will take a look at some pairs requested first. So pound CAD we'll go through, and then we'll take a look at pound Aussie as well. Hey, appreciate it. Bashi, what's up, my man? Hope you're doing good. Yeah, guys, drop a like if you're enjoying the stream. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Drop any chats of any pairs you're looking at, and we shall go through. Hey, appreciate it, Yoshi. Great call on gold. Honestly, the cherry on top would have been a meek exit at the low before move upward. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I was out the trade anyway. Because the funny thing is, I actually got into the trade because I didn't actually see the GDP news in the afternoon. I saw jobless claims, but I was like, jobless claims sometimes can move the market, sometimes can be a bit of a dud. I was like, okay, if things are going well with the trade, I'll probably just sit through the news. But then it's only after I rechecked the calendar and I saw the GDP, so I was like, okay, probably I'll just be getting out of the trade anyway. So yeah, unless price fell for me pretty much instantly as I got into the position, I probably would have just been closing the trade regardless of the situation. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm a very technical based trader, so I'm always going to be focusing on technicals, mapping out opportunities based on technical patterns and the conditions of the market. That's always my focus. News is more so a catalyst to get the market moving in terms of my perspective of things. And in this case, the news was in my direction. I'm still looking to short the gold, so we're going to keep an eye on that today. There's a few intraday positions I'm keeping an eye on. Gold is still one of them. In terms of pound CAD, I'm not a big fan of pound CAD, Livy. I'm not a big fan of pound CAD. Really flat, really flat. And I have no clue what price is trying to do. I mean, we are showing some consistency with the higher lows on the daily chart. So it looks like price is steadily getting ready for a break to the upside. But would I try and look to buy this? No. I'm not seeing momentum in general. The market's quite flat. We haven't broken through the highs dating back to March earlier this year. We're still having a lot of trouble there. So I do think soon come pound CAD will have some really nice conditions because this is a pretty big range, and at some point price is going to make its mind up. Is it going to break lower, break higher? We're going to get that decision very soon, and when we do get that, I do think we'll see a lovely trend form. Typically when price is in a range like this, the breakouts are normally quite substantial, especially when we're in a consolidation for quite a long period of time. Gold did a good example of that this year, although I don't expect pound CAD to be as bullish as gold, but you get the point. So waiting for the breakout, really. If you're not looking for the breakout, then if you're looking to try and short the market, I would wait for price to push back into this zone. This is where shorts are looking really good, because you can see, if you look at the daily candlesticks, we've pretty much failed to get a solid candle closure above this area, above 1.875, and all we're getting is consistent wicks in this area. So clearly, this is a price where this is a zone where price is failing to break through. So if we can get price there again, of course, doesn't mean that price can't now go and break through the level it could do. But if we're going to see some more wicks form, well, that's a no-brainer in terms of a place to position yourself, put a stop loss above, and see if you can catch a reaction. Because we are very consistent with the high lows as well, I wouldn't be looking for a big move, let's say, back to the lows here. My anticipation would be, okay, the market's pretty consistent with these higher lows. So because of that, if I do get short here, I'm going to try and anticipate another higher low forming and lock in some gains there at the very least. Because if a higher low does form, I'm prepared for that. There's nothing wrong necessarily targeting this low or even this low, but be prepared that price might do that against you. So be prepared to lock in some profits or manage the trade in some way. But really, pound CAD looks really flat to me. So if I'm looking at opportunities, it would be a push back to the high, monitor rejection there, and find some entries. In terms of where we're currently trading, not really seeing much opportunity to be honest. Really flat conditions. In terms of pound Aussie, this one's quite interesting. I do think there could be some buys. I'm actually going to keep a very close eye for some swing opportunities for pound Aussie. This is probably the only swing opportunity that is setting up for me at the moment. I am actually looking to see if we can find some buys, because I did say probably last week or the week before that I'm getting ready for some sales for pound Aussie, because it looked at one point we're going to get the breakout of this low. We had this candle close. It wasn't very aggressive, but we did close below support. So I was looking to see if we can continue lower, then start finding some pullbacks along the way. But we haven't got that. Price has been trading back above the prior low, back below, back above. It's been back and forth. Altogether, we haven't really seen a convincing breakout. So what I am looking at is potentially another low forming and maybe just the trend continuation. But if I zoom out, look at the bigger picture, go to the weekly chart actually, you can still see we do have a convincing uptrend at play. I do think the trend is approaching its end, so it's either going to probably collapse from here, or maybe we do see one more leg and then we collapse maybe in a few weeks' time. But the trend is still up. We're still seeing momentum. We're still seeing very strong bullish legs. And this could just be another correction for price to continue. So the fact that we are failing quite poorly at breaking through this low is making me shift my bias back to bullish. And I do think this is a really smart place to position yourself long, especially if you can get a nice stop loss underneath the lows here and look for a swing back to resistance. So I probably will look for entries actually on the daily chart with this one. It's been a while since I've taken a trade on a daily close, but I quite like what I'm seeing. I think 4 hours is a bit too detailed, too intricate for me to look for entries on any of these candlesticks. I kind of just view this as consolidation really. Daily chart, if I see a strong close with some momentum, I don't mind hopping in there with a stop loss underneath the low and then targeting the highs here or targeting resistance in that area, and then maybe this as a secondary target. So I'm actually starting to eye up some longs here for pound Aussie. I was pretty bearish, but we just haven't seen that momentum kick in for the sells. I did say if I'm going to short pound Aussie, I need to see a convincing break of that low. We just haven't seen that. So I'm looking to switch the bias around. I'll see how we close the day. If we do just kind of close within this range here and we don't see much momentum, I will hold off the longs for now. But let's say if we do get a strong close today, like above highs like that, well, that would be enough for an entry for me, because now we're seeing momentum at these lows and we're seeing it from the buyers, not from the sellers. So I would happily enter on that close, stops here, and then at least target back at this resistance there. And then I'll go from there. Maybe I do hang on for a bigger trade. You know, we'll touch on that as the trade progresses. But yeah, I'm no longer really interested in the shorts, to be honest, unless we have a massive drop out of nowhere. Then yeah, the shorts are very much on. Pullbacks, more downside. But unless we get something like that, I don't really see any opportunities forming for pound Aussie to the downside anyway. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this pair now. Dollar CHF is a pair I'm keeping a very close eye on. That's where my focus is right now for some longs, so shorts on gold, longs and dollar CHF. I'm not looking to trade all of these USD pairs. I'm just going to see which one does set up well. But I do like what I'm seeing with dollar CHF. A nice corrective retracement, which is how I like my retracements to look like. Really corrective. So I'm looking to see if we can push through the low, recover that, and then get the move. So basically just continue this bearish channel, buy the next dip, and then target the highs, so on and so forth. And we do have a really nice demand zone to our left here, brief pause, and that's where we shot up. So looking for one more move down for dollar CHF, potentially take out some early buyers, and that's where I get my opportunity to enter and take it back to highs, so on and so forth. If I expand to the 4 hour chart, you can see we just saw a recent breakout. And basically all I'm looking to do is continue that momentum. And my target for dollar CHF will be the zone here. This is where we had our last kind of major area of supply. Of course, this is one as well, but I'm looking at this as a new target. Also, we haven't come back to retest that since we had the drop. So maybe now price is actually going to see that retest. So we've got reason to head higher. So dollar CHF, I like what I'm seeing. Even if we get a deeper pullback into this area or into this area, I still do like the buys. It's just about timing that pullback now. Maybe it's a really shallow pullback and we continue from here. maybe it's a deeper pullback and we continue from there. Either which way, I need to stay on my toes and get ready for some buys. I was also looking at the signals from Zentrix this morning, and we did actually get a nice buy signal for $CHF. Where is it? Over there. But I'm looking for price to come a little bit deeper. You can see the entry 0.80013. And if I map that in on the chart, 88013, so that's around there. So, and the stop loss 798. I mean, the stop loss is probably where I want to have my stop loss, to be honest. So I like the stop loss. So if I can find an entry after price sweeps the low, that probably would be where roughly my stop loss is. Of course, my stop loss is always planned on candlestick entries, but I like what I'm seeing. The entry, although I would like to see if I can get the entry a little bit lower down. I think targets are similar to mine. 8035. 8035. 8035. No, where am I going? Yeah, around here. So yeah, I'll be targeting this similar area as well. So I like what I'm seeing. The risk reward for this position would be a 1 to 1.6, which is not bad. But if I can get the entry down here, suddenly that position becomes, a 1 to 6 potentially back to the high. Again, I probably won't hold that far, but in and around this area I'll target. So yeah, I'm quite liking $CHF. I like the confidence from the signal as well. And of course, just looking at what USD is providing, I do think we can see a lot more upside in dollars case. So I'll keep an eye on this one today because I might find an entry with this one. It is a bit flat at the moment, but I'm going to see how we do react at the lows there. So $CHF longs, gold shorts at this area, and dollar yen longs, but I think that's still a bit too early to look for entries. Maybe if I'm super aggressive, I might look for it at this low, like that. For me, that's a bit too aggressive. Price is pretty much still at highs, and we haven't seen any downside. But I do like what I'm seeing with dollar yen, because if I do zoom out, we've just had a really bullish close, or two really bullish closes back to back. This range has well and truly broken out of. I just do expect price to push back into the high at 150.846. And all it looks like we're doing is just continuing this uptrend. So you can see there's your first low. Oh, there's your first low. There's your second. This looks to be your third. And I would expect now price to run back to highs. So the plan would be now a pull back into this area for a retest. That would be the optimal area. If I could see maybe price go for a bit of a mini bearish trend, I do think I can find some nice longs there to take it back to highs and so on and so forth. But it's a similar situation to $CHF. I expect price to push up. Maybe it's a shallow pullback. Maybe it's a deep one. We have to wait and see. So I might look for entries. I might look for entries here. It depends how we shape up. If it's really good, I might just have a stab at it. But yeah, I'd prefer $CHF and gold. So yeah, that's kind of where I am at. Let's go through some chats. Where were we? The DAX, we'll take a look at the DAX as well for Temel, no problem. Good morning, Lenny. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Annie, what's up? Hope everything is well. Everything is doing good. Hope you're doing good as well. Can you look at natural gas and palladium? No problem. Is there a short opportunity there as well? Okay, so we'll go for the DAX. We'll go through DXY for me. I missed that, Bashi. We'll take a look at the DXY. Go through DAX. We'll go through natural gas. BTC coal. Okay, we'll take a look. No problem. Pavinator, what's up, my man? Yeah, were you in the... Okay, looking good. The position started off a bit shaky, but that sell-off yesterday, you're looking pretty good now in Aussie dollar. Congrats, congrats. Price might be going to hit your target pretty soon. Okay, let's go through the DAX so I don't start forgetting some of these requests. If I do forget a request, by the way, just drop it in the chat again. You know, if like 10, 15 minutes has passed, let me know. But yeah, in terms of the DAX, and of course, if you guys want me to take a look intraday or swing, also let me know as well, so I can, you know, look at what you're looking at. But yeah, the DAX has been extremely flat. I'm not the biggest fan of this one, to be honest. I think we're just kind of in a bit of a weird phase right now. We've recently seen some new highs, of course, breaking past the high there. This is the daily chart, by the way. So we've recently seen some new highs. Now price is just in a bit of a, you know, consolidation phase, which could mean we are pausing before another breakout and we start flying again. Or maybe we've hit a top and maybe we do have a deeper retracement. To me, it's 50-50. I'm not going to try and necessarily predict what price is going to do. There's no real use in that because price will eventually break out, then we'll know, and then we'll find some opportunities. No need to try and predict it beforehand. However, of course, price is still respecting support and resistance, and there could still be some short-term opportunities in between. I did say yesterday I quite like the sells at this high here. Again, I'll probably drop intraday to try and trade this, maybe like an hourly chart. If price can have another swing back to highs, pokes through, I think that's a smart place to position yourself short. Maybe try and catch another one of these lower highs that price is pretty consistently forming. And then from there we get our sell. Because it's make or break at this area. If price is going to rally to try and reverse, I would need to see price take up the high there. If we don't, and we respect this level here, then what you're doing is you're positioning yourself very, very well away from all the noise. After potentially a bit of a fake out, you're putting your stops above critical highs, and you probably put yourself in the best place possible to take advantage of another push back into lows. Because of course, the DAX has been pretty bearish for the past few days. If this trend is going to continue, this is where I want to position myself away from all the noise here, up and down, a lot of weird wicks here and there. If I can wait for that move, get in on that move, I'm just in a great position to take advantage of it. I'm not saying the trade's going to play out, but risk to reward looks good, entry is good, stop loss good, and if price was to hit your stop loss, it's probably because price is reversing. You know, there's nothing worse than you getting stopped out and still seeing your bias play out. It's kind of like a mismanagement in terms of the stop loss placement. If you can put a stop loss in an area where if price was to hit it and it does invalidate your bias, that's a great position for a stop loss because your idea has gone out the window as well. It stops you taking 2, 3, 4, 5 losses on the same idea. You get stopped out, but the idea is still valid. You get back in, stopped out. That's a real difficult place to be in. So yeah, if you can have a stop loss in that kind of placement where it will kind of tell you that most likely, of course, not guaranteed, but most likely the idea is wrong, you got a decent stop loss. So yeah, that's kind of my view on the DAX there. Push back to 23,785, then some shorts. In terms of natural gas, I had a look at this one last week, I'm pretty sure. Not intraday though, it was a bit more of a swing bias for natural. Ooh, there's a huge gap. Terrifying. Okay, so we're at an interesting area now. Interesting area. Okay, so yeah, I remember. So price was taking out these lows. We're looking for a pullback. This was a while ago, looking for a pullback because even though I do think natural gas is still probably going to trade back to these lows in the long term, we can't just be looking to short directly at lows because we are snapping back at them. But now the plan is to look for another one of these lower highs. So now that we've kind of gapped all the way up here, naturally this is actually quite a nice place for a short. It is a nice place for a short. And we've got a huge gap price could potentially go look to fill as well. So I do think this is a nice place. There are some areas where we could still see a move towards. I would still suggest that this could be an area price could push and maybe form that next lower high. If I whip out a trend line, you could see price kind of make a way into that area there, roughly. But nonetheless, this is still a smart place for a short. So if I'm looking to trade this market right now, I'll probably drop to a 4H, mark out this high, and wait for a solid close back below with some momentum. If I can get that, that would be a nice entry. Stops above the high there, and then maybe some targets back to fill the gap. And if things go very well, you got this low and this low. And that's if price is really going to dump in your favor. But I could see price at least hitting there. Maybe if it does want to push higher, that's where the buyers do step in. So yeah, I quite like where we're positioned for the natural gas. I think this is a great place for a short. I would still wait for us to get that close below to really confirm that, okay, we're back beneath that area. Otherwise, we might find support and continue higher. So do wait for us to close back below. And yeah, I do think more downside is yet to come, either from the high here or maybe slightly higher. In terms of palladium, what's the prefix for this one? Let me actually just type it out, because that might be a bit of a weird one. Okay, XPD. What's XPT again? Oh, platinum. I was getting the two mixed up. Okay, so have I looked? Okay. When was this? 21st of August. So I'm guessing that's the last time I looked at this one. Because yeah, this is not a market which I look at a lot. Okay, let me just zoom out, see what we're doing. Okay, looks like we're forming some type of bottom here. Might see price come back and retest some of these areas. Anyway, so yeah, it looks like price is forming some type of bottom here. A lot of rejection at that area, taking at some of these highs. We've just had a really nice bounce at that area. Looks like that's the last piece of analysis I was mentioning. Looks like we just came back with the wick there. Lovely up move from that zone. And then since then, we've been pretty consistent with the higher highs and higher lows. We can quite see that evidently, clearly. Would I keep looking to buy this? Well, definitely not at current price, because we've just gone and swept these highs, and price right now is testing this kind of supply zone. Not the area which I want to be looking to buy in. Would I be looking to sell? Not really either. I don't really have that type of bearish bias here. Not that we can't see some downside, but I mean, you are located well, back in supply, back in resistance. It is a nice place to short, but I'd rather go with market structure. If I look at the bigger picture, I'm starting to see price give me higher highs and higher lows. And now look at the 4-hour chart. I'm also seeing higher highs and higher lows. So I'd rather position myself long than short in this market. Not that we can't see a nice sell from here. We are rejecting pretty well. But equally, I'd rather be a buyer. And if I'm going to be a buyer, I would need price to pull back to a more appropriate place. I would suggest something around here would be appropriate. Because this way, I'm not buying into resistance. I'm not buying back into strong areas of supply. I'm also coming to demand zones. I'm possibly coming back to retest the former high to our left there as well. This could be a nice, smart place for a long. Could take it back to highs maybe further too. So I like what I see here for, if we can pull back there, I like the buys. Maybe there's some sales to start things off, but I'm not so interested in the shorts. I'd have more of a bullish bias on that one. So hopefully that made some sense. Okay, so we'll go take a look at BTC next, and then we'll go through Euro and GU on the 15 for Yusuf, and Aussie dollar for Pavinator as well. Take a look at that position. Looking at TP 0.64839. Okay, we'll have a investigation, but it's looking pretty bearish, I must admit. And with USD being so strong, I do think Aussie weakness is set to continue. Good morning, Samuel. Good morning, Samuel. What's up, my man? Hope you're doing good. How do you manage risk trading so many pairs? What if all your setups give an entry all at once? How do you handle that? Good question. Well, it's a really easy answer, to be honest. Don't trade them all. Because if you do, then of course, you're going to really struggle. You're going to really struggle with risk. You want to have set boundaries, set rules in terms of your risk cap per day, per week, per month. Once you know that, you can work backwards from there and kind of set limits or caps for trade frequency as well. For example, if you have like a 2R loss cap for the day, so you can't take more than 2R. Well, you know that if you're going to risk 1R on a position, you can't take more than 2 trades, because of course those 2 losses would be your limit. You could take 4 trades potentially and risk 0.5R per trade. So that means you can take more positions, but of course you got to lower your risk because of that. So once you do have those limits, you can work backwards from there. If I do get, let's say, 5 opportunities at once, then my goal really is to take the best one. If they're not correlated, say for example, I get a long on pound USD, but then I also get like a long on, I don't know, let's say Aussie CAD, which again, not really directly correlated, I will still take both of those positions because I know that they're probably not gonna, play out together. Probably one is not gonna follow the other, most likely. So in that case, I can take multiple positions, but again, at the end of the day, you still have your loss cap for the day, week, month. So as long as you can respect that, you're good. And again, to answer your question, just don't take them all. Take the best ones. And if they're all really good, again, whatever your cap is, play around with that. Let's say if you do get 4 really good setups, but your loss for the day is 2R, well, you can still take 4 positions at half the risk, or you take the 2 best ones at 1R risk. And you can play around. There's no right or wrong, as long as you manage your risk is the right situation, really. And having those set rules in terms of your loss allows you to know, okay, I can take these positions, or no, I shouldn't. And in terms of picking the best ones, that just comes with experience. As you get to know your strategy well, the markets well, you will see which trades are better. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Maybe they're both really good. You just pick one really at the end of the day. You don't need to trade every single thing that does come your way. In terms of BTC, so Bitcoin is looking very bearish. We've had a very bearish day. That was yesterday. I don't know why I needed my crosshair for that. We had a very bearish day yesterday, and it's not looking good. I'm not gonna lie, it's not looking good because prices just failed to reach the prior highs again, and this could be a lower high. Most likely is a lower high for BTC. So I do think we can see some lower prices now, and probably a push more so to this area here for Bitcoin. So around the 105, 102 area. So dropping intraday, especially with that momentum, we didn't see price respect this area well. I did say, I think it was early in the week, that we had some consolidation here. And I said if price can break out of this well, there could be some nice buys for BTC, because I do like this zone. I did say, of course, watch out for this area, because I do think we could see some sellers step in. But didn't quite see that. So really strong move to the downside. Now the plan is a push back into this low, potentially a push back into the zone I mapped out on the weekly chart. So I would suggest some pullbacks now for BTC and more downside. So let's say a pullback into there and then some shorts. So Bitcoin not looking good. I do think more downsides on the cards here. 106, 105. I think that's where price is probably going to end up now. And then we'll go from there. Maybe price just sweeps the lows and we start looking a bit more bullish again. That could happen too, but we'll believe it when we see it. For now, BTC at least back to these lows. So if you do see some upside, get ready for some shorts. So really, really bearish on Bitcoin. In terms of Aussie dollar, so Pavinator said he was short. I remember you had a position here. You held on to this move, and it has paid you very, very well. So you're looking for a push into 0.6489839, which would be 839, more or less around this low here, which not too far away from. And I do think price has got a solid chance of getting there. So going forward with Aussie dollar, I'm actually looking for shorts to see if I can join you. I would like to pull back to this area to get involved, which I know would be roughly about your entry. So maybe you wouldn't be the biggest fan of that happening, but that would allow me to potentially join you in that position. But Aussie is looking really weak right now. USD is seeing a lot of strength. I do think that's likely to continue. So I do think Aussie is still set to fall. A lot of momentum there. I don't see price necessarily just reversing that straight away. Of course, anything can happen, but I would say probabilities are in your favor. So yeah, you're looking pretty good, Aussie. I just called you Aussie. Looking pretty good, Pavinator. Aussie's looking really, really bearish, and I do think we're set to continue falling. Again, my outlook on the USD pairs is pretty much the same. We'll go through the DXY, then I'll take a look at Euro and G on the 15. Doctor, what's up? As I told you, gold moved downwards, almost hit your target. But I'm saying it still move to your final target. It will not hit your stop loss. If it happens, then then I'll talk. Okay, cool. I like the confidence. I mean, I'm still looking to short gold as well. So I'm still very much on the bearish train for now. I am looking for one more move up first to see if I can re-enter, because my stop loss was around here-ish, above the highs there. So I'm looking to see if price can push back into the high, then sell. So I'm still very much agreeing with your outlook on gold. But I do want to see it up move first, which might just about take my stop, to be honest. It depends how big it is. But again, I don't really mind because I'm not in that trade anymore, so I can do what it wants. But if it does react well here, I'll find some re-entries. And again, still look for the push back into this low. Probably either here or here would be my new kind of partial target for the trade first. Then I'll see if I can push it into the low. But yeah, gold shorts still looking good to me. Still looking good. So hopefully some entries later today. Actually, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? Because it's the weekend. Wait, this is the 25-minute chart. Drop to the 15. There we go. Yeah, that's another dynamic to think about. Because again, 4-hour chart, weekend, not really an issue. 15-minute chart. I mean, again, if you get into a trade and let's say you enter over here, get some stops up there, now price is here for the weekend, you can move your stops to break even and stomach that. Worst case scenario, maybe price does gap above your stop loss if there's a really big gap. Of course, not necessarily likely to happen. It can happen, but not likely. So you can get away with it. And if it does happen, it's probably not going to happen again for another 6-12 months, really, a gap that size at least. So that's the worst case scenario that could happen. Price gaps above your stop loss, you get filled at a higher price, you still take a loss in the position. Hopefully it's not a big one. And of course, best case scenario, you can gap in your favor as well. But yeah, if it depends, I don't know. It depends what time it sets up. Because if it's kind of late New York, then I could only be in the trade for like a few candles, and then momentum's going to start dying out. Then price just might start trading up my entry, and it's probably best just to get out of that position and then re-enter London on Monday. So it depends. It depends on the timing, really. I'll keep an eye. I can't really predict too much of that right now. But I like what I'm seeing. I like what I'm seeing with gold. So the bias is still there, but the timing's a bit off, really. We shall see. Okay, we'll go through DXY, and then we shall take a look at Euro and GU as well. Hit 3 L's on the DAX, unfortunately, man. Again, 3 stop losses in a row is not crazy. It's actually pretty common. Even if you have like a 60-70% win rate, 3 L's in a row is pretty common. I mean, all you have to do is get a coin, a double-sided coin, heads and tails. Imagine you flip it 20 times. You're probably going to get 3 heads in a row or 3 tails in a row at some point. And you wouldn't be too freaked out if that's the case either. You would still think that coin's pretty 50-50, even despite the fact that you do get 3 L's or 3 tails or 3 heads. So you don't want to get too freaked out about that, because normally 3 to 4 losses is when probably the average trader will look to try and reinvestigate everything and change up everything, change up strategy, change up their approach to the markets. Of course, maybe it is flawed. That's up to you to decide if you've got something you're working on it and there is some consistency there to it. Then of course stick at it. And don't let those losses deter you, because I think that's one of the hardest parts of trading. which is actually stomach the losses. But yeah, it happens to the best of us, my man. I took a loss on dollar CAD earlier this week and took a small loss on gold as well, even though it would have been a profitable position if I just held through the news. So I've experienced some pain as well this week too. Anyway, in terms of the DXY, still looking pretty bullish. I do like this area here for a buy. I am waiting for a slightly deeper pullback. What's your take on the dollar, Bashi? Because price is approaching some resistance right now. This is not optimal in terms of looking to buy. Yes, we've seen a lot of momentum. Yes, I do think there is still more upside to be had. But equally, I can't be looking to buy in that kind of territory. I need to see some downside for the DXY. I'm not interested in selling as well. So that's one thing. It's not a situation where I'm like, okay, maybe I can sell it down to buy it later. I'm not interested in that. I'm kind of just waiting for a good buy to take this to the upside. Ideally, it would be nice to see a pullback here. But yeah, I might be asking for a bit too much from the dollar there. But yeah, still very, very bullish, expecting higher prices. If I do drop to an intraday chart, all I'm seeing is just a lot of corrective price action, which is not bad. That's a good thing. It's not like prices rallied and now seeing aggressive momentum back down. That would be a bit of a red flag. But it's corrective, it's slow, which means that this bearish move most likely is a pullback. And at some point, I do expect us to see higher prices. It's just, I'm a little bit hesitant based on where we're trading in terms of getting into some longs right now, especially because we've seen already a big move. Now we're testing some resistance. It's not really optimal for me to take some buys just yet. Doesn't mean we can't go higher, just means in terms of my trading style, I like to position myself a little bit better than that. Maybe a bit more intraday, you can get away with it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'll take a look at Euro and GU on intraday charts as well. Yusuf, what is palladium? It's a metal, my man. It is a metal. Glad DXY hit my TP. Okay, nice. Congrats, he's integrated. Closed all positions, especially in the sheet. Okay, gonna enter again if price stays at 98.2. Okay, so down here somewhere. Yeah, so I'm pretty bullish. CS integrated. I'm very bullish on the DXY. Looks like we've got a similar outlook. I'm not sure about 98.2. They only have. I mean, to be honest, it really depends where price forms up. I could see myself buying from 98.2. Nice demand zone there. I could see price potentially pulling back there. At least we're kind of out that supply zone. So I could see potentially me buying from 98.2. Like I said, my best setup would be if price can pull back here, but I might be asking a bit too much in terms of a pullback. We might not quite get there, but we'll see. But I do agree with the bias. I'm pretty bullish as well. I do think more upside is likely. Just let's see how price reacts with this resistance. We'll go through Euro and GU next. EuroCAD, Antonio, no problem. Rafael, NAS 100, US 30. Should I short them now? Isn't that the question, my friend? We shall take a look. But again, I don't really want to give advice like that because at the end of the day, it's your account. I could say short, you make some money, great. I could say long, you might lose some money. At the end of the day, it's your account taking the hit, not mine. So I don't want to give signals. I always give my opinion of what I expect the market to do. And if I'm in a trade, I'll share you. But it's not to say to take the position. That's your decision. But I can take a look and give you my analysis. EuroCAD, we'll add that to the list as well. That's my level for resistance. Remember, oh yeah, you mentioned yesterday 98.5, 98.9. So yeah, that's around 98.9 will be up there. 98.5 we've just about hit. So basically resistance. Need to see rejection back down to 97, but that's hopeful. 97. That's a big move. That would be hopeful. I mean, it's possible because the market, I would still say, is bearish and we're coming more so towards bearish territory. Maybe if we're going to form a lower high, I would expect it to happen kind of anywhere within this area here if a lower high is going to form. So I can see that potentially happening. But yeah, you're looking for a pretty big move there. You're looking for a pretty big move. But if the trend's going to continue, it's going to continue. Hey, what's up, Holy One? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. DXY will push up one more time, then I'll look to sell any USD pairs. I think that's the take, really. That is the take. I am looking only for intraday. I'm not looking for a big swing on the DXY. I'm bullish for probably a day or two. As soon as price gets like 99, that's when my bias will start to relax, or even 98, 98.8. Because now we start coming back into this area. Could see price potentially doing something like that. So I'm only looking at intraday buys for dollar, or like intraday shorts for pound, intraday shorts for or for euro. But I'm not looking for anything crazy. Anyway, so yeah, in terms of Euro USD, actually let's take a look at the sentiment on Xanthrix, because I want to see what retail traders are doing with euro, because especially after the drop yesterday, I think in general a lot of people would have been looking to probably short the dollar, short euro. But now after the move back down, I think people will be looking to switch bias around. Social media chat is showing increased bearish bias. Okay, well, with the crowd then, 65% negative comments. Okay. I mean, again, if you're gonna be against the crowd, it's not necessarily a bad thing, or for the crowd. It depends on the context of the market, because retail traders on average are kind of 50-50, a bit more so towards the profitable side of things. So, in terms of their win rate, at least, not in terms of their account. So, going against the herd, going for the herd is not necessarily a bad thing, especially when things are a little bit wishy-washy. It's only kind of really plays into hand if, let's say, for example, price is completely falling, then majority of people will be trying to look to call the bottoms. Then at that point, I do want to be against the herd. Okay, so we'll take a look at euro and go through GU as well. So yeah, euro with the big drop. So it looks like this move has made people bearish then. That the sentiment has shifted. But I do think we are likely to drop. It's just I'm not looking for anything crazy. I'm looking at how the dollar, I'll take a look at the 15 in a moment, but I'm looking at how price just about made new highs, and then we've had a really aggressive move down. So I do think the next 2-3 days we can see price spill over a little bit further. But again, you don't want to get too carried away. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, this here is still not significant in the context of things. You know, these are just two pretty much average size bearish candles. Let's not get too carried away from momentum yesterday. You know, price could very much fizzle out and still very much continue the trend. So the bigger picture, the daily chart, still very bullish. I think buys are still very much the safe bet for now. I still think the sells are a bit more counter trend, but I do think we can see at least another drop, maybe back into these lows here, 1.162, maybe this low, 1.16, and then we'll go from there. I did mention it would be nice to see a pullback into here. Not too sure we'll have a deep enough pullback though. If I drop to the 15, so I like the pullback for euro. It's really corrective, similar to what we're seeing on the DXY, really flat. It's not providing me really good entries. I like it when we have a bit more zigzaggy pullback. So let's say we get a bearish move like this. I like it when it's a bit more like this. So when I do time my entry, it gives me a bit more room to play in. Because if I get into an entry here, then catch the move, even if price was to form another higher low and push against me, This move here still allows me to maybe move a stop to break even, maybe secure partials that came to like a big demand zone. It allows me to manage the trade, which is basically a way to protect myself. If I was to get an entry here, you know, I'm very much greeted with support almost instantly, and price could go against me. So because of that, it's just a little bit too corrective, and I think the best way to trade euro right now is probably a break of the counter trend line. Let's say price gives you a strong close like this. Of course, you would enter the market a little bit later. Maybe your stops are a bit wider as well if you have it back above the high. I think that's the most effective way, especially if you do see an aggressive close, because then you can be a bit more assertive that, okay, momentum has arrived. I'm probably likely to get back to the low. So yeah, euro, I do have a bearish bias. I do want to see a bit more upside, maybe at least back to like 1.17. I think that would be nice. A bit more corrective as well. That would be great. Again, I will still keep an eye on that area, but I'm not too sure if price will get there. I think I'm asking a bit too much. But that's kind of my idea there for euro. And as for pound USD, again, pretty much the same take as well, except pound, I'm not so confident about shorting now because we're pretty much trading at critical support. This is not an area which I want to be looking to sell, even if I'm looking for an intraday position and I want to be in and out the trade very, very quickly. You know, just looking at the area, you know, my brain automatically thinks buy. This is a support level. I don't want to be selling into that, even if I think price is going to break through. So because of that, I would back away from pound. I do want to see a lot more upside for this one before I do get interested for the short. And again, doesn't mean price can't break through. It very much can. But it just kind of goes against my principles, really, to be shorting into this area. I mean, it's looking pretty healthy. This looks like a really corrected move to me. So it does look like it's just a pullback for us to see lower prices. But I just don't feel comfortable selling at these lows. I'd rather price as a greater pullback, you know, back to maybe this area or retest that zone as we mentioned earlier. I'd feel a lot more comfortable trying to short at those prices. And again, a bit too corrective for me. So I think the best way to enter would just be a strong counter trend line break. But yeah, in terms of direction, very bearish for both pound and euro, really aggressive moves. But we are coming back into major support here. Not the best place for selling. For me, it would be this. Even if we do get a short from here, we don't necessarily need to get it back to the low for a profitable move. Even if we get it halfway, especially if we drop intraday, probably still walk away for decent profit there. So yeah, pound USD, I still do have a bearish bias, but yeah, pullback I would say is a bit necessary. Selling directly into those lows doesn't feel right to me. We'll take a look at, probably missed out a pair, haven't I? GJ, that's it, Saeed. Yeah, we'll go through pound yen as well. Dr. Hamika, as I told, gold move towards. Yeah, did I read that? Yeah, I read that. Okay, NAS 100, US 30, pound yen, euro CAD. We'll go through those. DXY bullish cold, dollar yen goes up. Yep, 100%. And dollar yen is a pair which I'm looking at. Let me just see a quick update on what dollar yen is doing. Okay. I did say if price was to run the lows, I might give it a go. If I can position myself there. It's not my favorite opportunity. I prefer dollar CHF. How's this one doing? Looks like USD strength is slightly coming back into the market. But again, for dollar Swiss, I want to see price run the lows and then recover. That's the entry I'm looking for. And a push back to high and new highs there. Maybe price does take off without me, but a rule's a rule at the end of the day. And that's really what I'm waiting for. And in terms of gold, how are we looking? Okay, looking a bit bearish there. Again, I'll still wait for a push back to the high. That's where I want to position myself, and that's the short I'm after. So I am looking at longs in dollar yen. I'm looking at longs in dollar Swiss and shorts on gold. Those are the pairs I'm looking at. And because they're all quite correlated, I don't plan on trading all three of them. I only plan on finding one and focusing on that one. But they all take advantage of the same move, providing USD is strong. So I don't necessarily need to. But yeah, those are the pairs I'm looking at. Going to keep a very close eye. In terms of swing, I'm also looking at some buys on pound Aussie. If maybe I see a strong close at the end of the day, I might find a nice entry on the daily chart back to the highs at 2.1. So this will be a swing opportunity I look to try and trade. But I'll wait for a better close on the daily. Maybe that might come Monday. But I am looking at this. So those are really where my focus. Those pairs are really where my focus is for now. Pound Aussie longs, dollar Swiss longs, dollar yen longs, gold shorts. Anyway, we'll go through pound yen. We'll take a look at euro CAD. Which other two pairs? NAS US 30. Yeah, same small move for DXY. Nice. Earlier you told DXY looks like an inverse head and shoulder. Did I say that? I remember saying inverse head and shoulder. If that's the case, then isn't the price target is more for where it would trace? I think now it's just a small bump in the road. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, Doctor, to be honest. Yeah, I don't remember saying inverse head and shoulder on the DXY. I said we're having a nice correction, but price is at some resistance. I don't mention inverse head. I don't think I mentioned inverse head and shoulder. If I did, I must have hit my head somewhere, because I do not see an inverse head and shoulder here. So yeah, I'm looking at some buys for the dollar. It looks like we're seeing some momentum with this candle here. Yeah, I'm looking at some buys for the dollar. The way I look at it, we've had a really aggressive move past a day or two. Now I'm looking at a correction for price to go higher. I'm only looking for a bit more downside first before I do take advantage of that move, purely because we're at resistance. So I'm a bit more cautious at that area. But yeah, I do not see an inverse head and shoulder pattern here. This just looks like a regular pullback to me, and for price to see more upside. Oh, okay, my bad. On the daily, my bad. Okay, maybe to a degree with that. Left shoulder head, right shoulder, possibly. But again, I would still wait for price to start breaking through structure before really hinting at that. Because this could be a right shoulder. It could very much be price looking to continue. So I wouldn't get too excited with that. It's a potential inverse head and shoulder, sure, 100%. But until we kind of break through this neckline well, with some force, I wouldn't get too excited, because this is still bearish territory. I could very much still see price react with this supply zone and still create a new lower high. So yeah, it could be inverse head and shoulder in play, but I'm not looking to take advantage of that buy until I see some force to the upside breaking through some key areas. So yeah, from that perspective, potentially, but intraday, not quite looking at such a big move just yet. In terms of the indices, we'll go through NAS 100 and then we'll take a look at US 30 as well. So in terms of NAS 100, looking really bearish, really aggressive move lower. I do think price can see a bit more downside, although that is a bit of an ugly wick there, I must admit. Because we have come back into some demand now, so I would be a bit more cautious with the sells. But if it drops like a 50-minute time frame, I do like it if price can sweep the high here, reject well, and I think that'll be a very smart place for a short. Away from all the noise, because you can see this is where price is back and forth. This is where I don't want to be looking to trade. I don't want to mess around. I want to position myself at the high. You can see we've been pretty consistent with the lower highs as of late. So we do have that in our favor for now. As long as price doesn't go and take out this high, I would still retain that bearish bias. In terms of the entry, would need to see a run to the highs, then the short. So I wouldn't take shorts from current price. I'm not too sure which time frame you're referring to, but this is where I would like to find my entry. Stop loss above the highs, entry at the resistance, boom, a push back to lows, looking at a decent risk reward as well. But of course, not getting too excited because we know that, okay, we're coming back to demand zones, we're still seeing wicks to the downside. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if price double bottoms here, then reverses, to be honest. So NAS 100 is still very much a bullish market. It's just we're looking for some counter trend shorts whilst the market is showing those lower highs, but at the same time not being too extravagant with our targets, still kind of playing it more conservatively because momentum on the higher time frames is not in our favor. So yeah, quick short back to the low, and then I'll start to look to back away from that bias because we definitely could reverse. In terms of the Dow Jones, this one as well did see some nice downside, although I don't think it looks as clean as NAS or even the S&P. This one again coming back into support area, seeing some wicks. Do I like the shorts on this one on the 15? Not as much to be honest. This one looks a lot more corrective to me. I think maybe if we push down, then push up, I might like that. And then at least a push back here. I probably wouldn't be so confident with a push to lows. Maybe just a push back into support. So yeah, I don't quite see the opportunity here with US 30. I mean, I wouldn't be looking to buy on the 15. I would still say this is bearish. So shorts would be my bias. But I'm not quite seeing a good short setup like we just saw in NAS. To me, it looks like price has had a consolidation, broken out well. Yeah, this is now bullish territory. Could even see price start to rally from here. So I'm not seeing clear shorts. And of course, we are still bullish on higher time frames. This was a pretty significant level. We had a break and retest from. We've now pulled back into kind of the demand area of it. Yeah, this is now coming back into bullish territory a bit more. So yeah, US 30, I'll probably stay away. Just focus your efforts more on NAS. Again, quality over quantity. If NAS looks good, but US 30 is not the case, well, just focus on NAS. No need to try and trade them both. And again, they probably will do the same thing anyway. So just pick the better one and stick your efforts there. US 30, sure, we might see another bearish leg. I'm not the biggest fan. NAS is, I like the structure. So yeah, that is where I'm at with US 100. I'll take a look at GJ and EuroCAD. Those two pairs need to take a look at next. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Minor inverse head and shoulder. Okay. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. So left head, right shoulder, there's your neckline, there's the break. Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what I'm looking to play now, to be honest. A pullback of that, and then some more upside. But of course, because we've got resistance to our left, I have to be careful of that. So yeah, I do agree. Inverse head and shoulder, yep, 100%. And that could be an area which price does later go and break through. But this is, bearish territory. We're back at resistance. If I want to really take advantage of that inverse head and shoulder, then this is where I want to be buying, or as close to that area as possible. So yeah, I do see that, but again, that doesn't necessarily instigate a reversal either. Yes, the inverse head and shoulder pattern's there. It might mean a bit more upside for maybe the next couple days, but we might see price, show some reversal patterns. Then things change there as well. We might see an actual head and shoulder pattern form, and that would change things. But yeah, I agree. Okay, dollar yen, yes, we'll take a look. That is a pair I'm interested in, but we'll go for GJ and EuroCAD first. Samuel had issues with the network. Okay, what if 20 pairs give you entries all in one day, but different times, same morning, afternoon? Yeah, so basically, like I mentioned, you want to have limits for your loss per given time period. So per day, per session if you want as well, but per day, per week, per month. So for example, if you have like a 2R max loss for the day, then if you're going to risk 1R per trade, then you can only take 2 positions, provided that you lose the first you lose them both, because of course, let's say if you take one trade, you win it, you make 3R, well, now you've got a 5R buffer. You can still potentially take another 5 losses before you do hit your 2R max loss. So there's that component to it as well. But let's say you do have a 2R max loss. So you know that if I'm going to risk 1R per trade, I can only have two back-to-back losses before I'm done for the day. It resets to tomorrow, and you might have a loss of maybe 5R for the week, and so on and so forth. So if you do have 20 pairs and they all give you 20 signals, well, you know you can't take all 20 because it will violate your risk cap if all were to fail. You could still potentially take all 20 if you want and just reduce the risk on each position to like 0.1. Does that math add up? Yeah, it does add up. Quick maths there. But yeah, if you reduce the risk to 0.1R, then of course you can still take 20 and still be within your limits. But again, you don't want to take 20 pairs, 20 trades in 20 different pairs. You won't be able to manage every position. So my biggest advice to you is have a limit, respect that limit. If you're within the limit cap of your day, week, you're good. You can take as many pairs as you want, really, because at the end of the day, the reason why you wouldn't take many pairs is because of risk, and like I said, because of management. You want to be a bit more focused. So as long as you can manage the trades well, you're not too distracted, as long as you're not going to violate any risk rules, technically speaking, you can take as many pairs as you want. So that's kind of my question, the answer to your question. Yeah. And another component of that, don't take correlated pairs as well. For example, if you get euro shorts, pound shorts, dollar Swiss longs, dollar yen longs, gold shorts, that is all in the same direction, all kind of backing USD strength. In that case, I wouldn't take all those pairs because they will all fail or all work together. If I'm buying pound USD, but I'm shorting Aussie CAD, okay, there's no real correlation there. I can take those positions. They will sort themselves out. But I don't want to be selling euro, selling pound, selling Aussie, selling New Zealand dollar, buying dollar CAD. I'm basically copy and pasting the same idea. In that case, I don't think there's much point in doing that. But the biggest takeaway, have the loss limit and respect it, and go from there. Okay, let's go through GJ. So in terms of pound yen, pound yen, I still do have a bullish bias for pound yen. I still do think this is likely to push higher. I still do think price can make a move back to resistance here at 201, but it's just a bit awkward. It's been really flat. It's been really corrective. So I haven't really found a good entry for this one, but I am going to keep an eye out. I think this could set up maybe next week for me well, because we were super corrective yesterday. Super corrective. And then price had this kind of sell-off here. Things were a little bit awkward. And that was still very corrective as well, but I can definitely see price maybe picking up some momentum. And if you can do something like that, well, the probability of price getting back to the high will increase dramatically. And then it will be my plan to look for a pullback somewhere to then take that final leg back to highs, and that will be my opportunity to look for a buy. So pound yen, I'm really bullish on. I do think price is likely to push up. I do think this is most likely another higher low, because we just haven't seen that momentum come through. We did get a break of structure last week, which took out this low. So I was bearish coming into the week looking for a push, at least back to the low, but maybe further. We did see another drive down, but it didn't break through lows. Strong rejection. This looks like a double bottom. So I do think we are likely to return to highs now. And that's kind of my logic there. So yeah, bullish on pound yen. Not quite seeing the entries yet, which is why I haven't jumped into anything. Maybe there could be some entries here. I probably would drop to like a 5 minute for that, which is a little bit below my liking. I don't really want to drop below a 15. 15 is already fast paced enough for me. But from a 5 minute perspective, I like this demand zone. I like the breakout. We're pretty consistent with the higher lows here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can we see a fifth potentially? Another drop back into the low. Gonna take out some of those early lows there. This could be a smart place for a buy. Back into resistance, and then maybe so on and so forth. So I do think really intraday, 5 minute, 1 minute even, you might find some nice entries here and kind of continue that momentum there. but from a 15-minute perspective, this is a little bit too tight for my liking. So I would wait for some more momentum to get involved. And again, if I'm looking for a push at 201, there's still a lot of room for me to trade. I don't need to get in right here. I can still wait maybe for the next pullback after and then take the trade. So I do have a bit of time to kill, and that probably won't set up till early next week at least as well. But yeah, pound yen, really bullish, looking at more upside. In terms of EuroCAD's interesting. I do think this one, again, is coming to a top. I do think we're running out of juice. We're getting tighter in this corrective channel. You can see we had pretty big swings here initially, and now price is just not seeing as big swings anymore. We're getting very kind of squashed, if you will. So I do think the time where we're going to drop is pretty soon. If I scale to the monthly chart, you can see where we're trading. We've taken out some major wicks here as well. I just think we're primed up for a nice, not necessarily a reversal, but at least a pullback. You know, if price is going to go higher, that could be the case. But I do think we can see at least a bit of a drop first before that happens. So I'm getting ready for some shorts for EuroCAD. But at the same time, we have to be very careful because the market's still bullish and we can always see higher prices. So yeah, going into today, let me drop to the 15, see how we're looking. I think it's a similar situation to, actually not really. I was going to say it's similar to euro dollar. I mean, EuroCAD and euro dollar are quite correlated. So there is a natural similarity between them, but I wouldn't say they're in the same phase. But yeah, anyway, we've seen a really nice bearish move, taken out some lows. This looks like a really nice break of structure, lower high, new lows forming. So we're looking at a new phase in the market. And also, this bullish move here has been super corrective. It's not like we've seen a lot of aggressive momentum. Price is really taking its time. So I do think we are likely to drop back to lows and further. This is still counter trend, so still have to be a bit more cautious, but it's not as aggressive as my trade yesterday on gold. And gold is still very much in an aggressive bullish trend. I would still suggest that EuroCAD is bullish, but it is slowing down. You can see multiple signs of us slowing down there, so it's not as aggressive. We've already had a nice move there. We're pulling back into supply here. This is a nice comfortable place for a short. So I would suggest, in terms of entries, a break of the counter trend line as a great signal for an entry, because again, we're really kind of squashed here in this channel. So I wouldn't really be using like a bearish engulfing pattern to get in, because it's just not effective in this situation. You know, this is a nice bearish engulfing pattern, but all it does would suggest that price will get back to the low of the channel, which is like 2 pips away. So there's not a lot of room to maneuver in. A break of the channel is a lot more significant than a bearish engulfing candle in this case. So I would wait for a strong close below, and that could be your entry with stops above the high, targets back at the low there, or maybe like a big double top. If that's something you like, I think that could look good as well. But at the very least, the break of the counter trend line, and then yeah, just a push back to lows. Let's not be too overly confident. I have talked about, you know, a big reversal for EuroCAD, but at the same time, the market's still bullish. If you can get it back to the low, that's a great trade in itself. Maybe back to this low here, if you're really trying to push the trade. But let's show respect to the bullish trend. The market could still do that at any point, really. So yeah, for now, shorts look good, but let's take it step by step. Next target would be back at the prior low. So yeah, that's my take with EuroCAD. Okay, we'll take a look at, I just had a look at pound yen, so just scroll back maybe like 10 minutes and you'll see the analysis there. In terms of UJ, we'll take a look at next. Max. Okay, so you're just going to get removed. Bye-bye, brother. I had no idea what his problem was. But yeah, he can get lost. Okay, so yeah, we'll go through dollar yen. What's up, Philkos? Hope I'm saying that correctly. What are you selling? I'm not in any trades at the moment. I was shorting gold yesterday, but at the moment, not in any positions. I'm looking to see if I can get back into some shorts of gold. But yeah, I don't have any entries at this moment in time. I'm looking to either sell gold, buy dollar Swiss, or buy dollar yen. I'm not too sure if gold would give me the entry I'm looking for. I'm looking for a push back to the higher than a short there. Okay, we'll go through UJ as well. No problem, Andre. Happy to help, my man. If I have missed out a pair, let me know. I don't think I have. I'll split risk and take similar pairs as one. Might get stopped out, might hold. Okay, that's a good way to go about it. Again, in terms of just managing the risk, I think that's the most important thing. But in terms of splitting the risk on different pairs, I think that's a way to approach it as well. Because of course, maybe one tags you out, but the other one doesn't, and that way you still take advantage of the move whilst not doubling your risk. Holy One, been New Zealand CHF since 6140. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's been tanking. I don't know where to get out. There's nothing to I think I'm gonna have to close knowledgeable levels available. Yeah, that's always the issue when you do get to all-time lows or all-time highs. It's like, where do I take my profit? Because yeah, I can't necessarily use anything to help me. I mean, there are some techniques. You can look at psychological levels. You can look at fib extension levels as well. Personally, I'm already in a situation where I'm buying into all-time highs or selling into all-time lows. So not a common problem for me, but yeah, I mean, we'll take a look at New Zealand CHF, but the trend is pretty strong. So I would suggest, if it was me in my situation, I probably would take my a good chunk of my profit at the low, so at the all-time low, and then I'll let the rest run, because of course the trend is quite strong. Price might still drop another 50 pips. You know, I'll happily welcome that with open arms. So if that is the case, trading a stop will allow price to continue, and you can still take advantage of that while still protecting yourself. So that's kind of my take. But yeah, there's not much you can do really, because there's just no structure really. No problem, Bashi. No problem. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. At the end of the day, there's nothing to really reference. But yeah, I mean, there's no really right or wrong answer there. And I don't really find myself in that situation too many times, so it will be new to me-ish as well. In terms of New Zealand CHF, yeah. Again, momentum looks good. But all it takes is one day just to engulf, 3-4 of those days, to be honest. Maybe price does drop a little bit further. Maybe. It's difficult to say what price will do. All I can say is I do expect to see an up move soon, though. Because as we do create all-time lows, I would expect a lot of people in your position to be doing the exact same thing. Okay, price is at all-time lows. Where do I take my profit? I don't know. Maybe I hold, maybe I don't. I do expect a lot of people to be just taking positions out here naturally. An all-time low, people naturally be looking, okay, maybe we're going to have a pullback now. So because of that, I do expect a lot of sell positions to be closed, and as a result, some buy positions to be open. And naturally, that might give us a pullback for New Zealand CHF. So I do expect us to see some upside soon. So yeah, I think just playing it the safer route, especially if you already made a decent profit, is a good move. In terms of dollar yen, so dollar yen is a pair on my watch list. I am actively looking to buy this one. Very, very bullish on this one, but I need to find an entry. I did say I might look for an entry in this area here. If I do get another run back into the lows and price rejects it well, I might find an entry there. If not, then maybe I'll just let price continue. But in terms of targets of where I do expect dollar yen to push to, it would be this area here, 150.8. That's kind of where I'm looking for price to get to. another drive back to highs, and then we'll go from there. I do also like the idea of a pullback and a retest of this area. That would be number one. If you can get a pullback there, that would be great. Find some entries there, and I could be looking for a swing trade more or less back into the high there. Might even be able to get on an intraday chart and then hold it for a swing. That would be the best case scenario. But yeah, momentum looks like it's picking up at the moment right now, so we might just continue here, but that's not such a worry, to be honest, because even if we do continue, I do think the next phase, the next pullback, maybe early Monday, will still give us a nice opportunity. Let's say if price does have a solid breakout here, well, this becomes an interesting range, because then I'll be looking at a pullback to this zone for a buy. And that'll be the new setup I keep an eye on. So if we do break out here, that's not the end of the world. We still got, from current price, or at least from the breakout here, we've still got about 80, 90 pips to the high. So if I can find myself a nice 30 pip stop loss somewhere, and even the 60 pip target, I'm still looking at 1 to 2, not necessarily trying to shoot for the moon as well. So there's still definitely opportunities here for dollar yen, even if we do break higher. If we don't break higher, that's fantastic as well. Maybe we do get the bigger pullback, as I mentioned, and that would be a very nice place for a buy, but we'll see. Any which way, I'm only looking to buy dollar yen. So yeah, that is going to be the plan with USD JPY. And the retest of the range. Yeah, so if you're talking about the retest like 149, 148.5, that would be a great opportunity. It's just whether we will see the pullback there or not. And supply zone on the full hour. You're talking about this area here? Or do you mean demand zone? I mean, either which way, if you're talking about this zone, that would be a target for me. If you're talking about this zone, that would be an area which I want to buy from. No worries, Bashi, no worries. Again, I'm still moderator as well. Yeah, I think I missed silver. I'll take a look at that one, Doctor. Your call is sell. I kind of do back that. I think it's a bit aggressive for a short, but I'm leaning towards a bearish bias as well. I mean, I'm bearish on gold, so most of the time if I'm bearish on gold, I'm probably going to be bearish on silver. But the only reason why I wouldn't look to sell silver is because we are still making higher highs. And, I mean, we are failing at highs at the moment. So we're not quite doing that anymore, but we have been. So trying to take some shorts now on silver is just a little bit difficult given the context of the market. But I do agree. I do think we're a little bit stretched. I do think price action is showing signs that we're running out of steam. You can see every time we do sweep the high, we're getting pullback straight after. There again, sweep the high there again. And this occasion, can't even make a new high. So we're seeing evidence that despite, yes, we're making higher highs and higher lows, we're no longer seeing that force anymore. Even with the force we saw yesterday, we came back pretty aggressively back down. I know we did continue, but we're seeing aggressive moves down. So it's definitely a market running out of steam. I wouldn't say we're bearish yet. It's still a bullish market, but it's definitely a bullish market running out of juice. I do think, maybe in the next few moves, we might still take out highs again, but I do expect us to retrace. So I do agree with that, but I'd much rather sell gold, which has already given me lower highs. So I do have already some backing from price. So I'm not looking to try and call the tops necessarily. So if I do get another rush back to the highs there, I'll happily find some entries and happily see if I can take it back into lows. So gold is where I'd rather take a trade because of the setup itself is a bit more favorable. But I do understand, gold and silver probably going to do the same thing. If gold's going to drop, silver most likely will drop and vice versa. But yeah, I do agree with that call. Holy One, yes, way below H450. Yeah, of course. I would expect price to pull back now. Always wants to go back home to visit the 50. They wave goodbye again. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the best ways to move to use a moving average in terms of, because of course, if you look at what a moving average is, it's an average of a certain period of time of the past, previous candles. For example, the 50 is looking back at the past 50 candles and giving you the average price to that. So if price is gonna exponentially push away from the 50, quite naturally it's going to correct itself back towards the 50, and that is true for pretty much any moving average you have. But of course it depends on the time scale and what type of move you're looking for, but that is the case. So if price does drift towards, if price does drift too far away from the mean, at some point it will naturally correct itself back to the mean, because it is the mean at the end of the day. So you can use that to your advantage. And in this case, with New Zealand CGF at all-time lows, really kind of just slowly picking away from the moving average, at some point it's going to have its correction and it's going to pull back towards the 50. You can even do the same thing with the 200 moving average as well. It's going to pull back to those moving averages at some point. Of course, difficult to predict when, which is the magic question. But at some point it's going to happen. You said you're already in dollar yen. What should take profit be? Again, you probably want to have that sorted before you do jump into the position. It depends on the context of things, because let me get to dollar yen first. Because it depends on your lot size, depends on the risk you've taken, depends on the time frame you're trading in. There's no necessarily a good target just in general, because it does depend on how you've entered. For example, if I've entered like a very intraday position here, well then maybe this could be my target. But if I've entered on like a 4-hour chart or a daily, there's no point of that being my target, because that's just like a very small push in my favor. There's no point even getting into the position at that point. So it depends on the time frame and the move you're looking to trade and where your risk is. Is your stop loss here or is your stop loss here, for example? That would depend on targets too. So I can't just give you a target out the back. All I can say is that's a key level resistance, and that's a key level resistance as well. Depending how you want to manage that, that's where you should be looking really. And of course, I'll let you decide which one is more adequate. Of course, we're already trading at one right now, but yeah, it really depends on a lot of factors. There's no kind of magic take profit level which will be the same for every trade. It depends on the context of things. But if you are looking at resistance, there's two quite clear levels there. One we're trading into now, and you've got the highs over there at 150.798. Yeah, I would agree, Doctor. I would agree. Probably just seeing a bit of retracements and pullbacks now as well. I mean, if you take a look at dollar yen on the sentiment, I bet because we're seeing a lot of, and if you guys do want to access the Zentrix platform, by the way, you can do. All you just need is 1 million of the token to access the platform, which is about $8 roughly, and you can use all features. I do have the link to the platform in the description below. But yeah, in terms of dollar yen, because of the big up move we've had, I could see that potentially attracting a lot of sellers to dollar yen. I know USD is quite bullish, so naturally, people be bullish on the dollar, but the average retail trader likes to call tops and bottoms. And because we've just seen a very strong breakout and a strong move, I do think we could see that shift. Okay, because the Bank of Japan expecting a pullback, new sentiment, trending bullish, but significant intervention concerns. Okay, so I guess because of the USD strength, people are bullish. Nervous breakout phase. I think that's positive, to be honest, because if people are not quite sure about it, and I'm pretty sure, I like that. Let the people be unsure. I'm quite sure we've got a good breakout here. Of course, I'm not sure in terms of guaranteed. I never know guaranteed. But yeah, I think there's a very high chance we get there. And if I can map out an opportunity with good probability, That's all I can do as a trader. That's all I can do. No problem. Happy to help. Short term 151, long term 159. Okay, that's a pretty long term bias. Okay, looking for a push back to the high there. I mean, at that point, I wouldn't be surprised if we get back to this high, 162. That possibly could be the move, to be honest. Provided yen's weak, USD does reverse, that would take us there. That would take us there. But again, step by step, we've still got major high here to contend with. That's the target for now, at least the next couple of days. So just pullbacks on dollar yen, back to highs. We'll see what price does there, because that could still be a nice place for a short as well. But I can see that happen, provided DXY reverses, dollar yen continues selling off. We could make that move. Yeah, I mean, we've been working on the Xanthrix project for quite some time now as well. If you want to check it out, there's links in the description to it. You do need a million of the token to access the platform, but it's only roughly $8 and you have access to all features. But it's a platform we've been working for the past few months, and the core kind of reasoning behind it is to look to help traders use AI tools to help improve their trading, whether it's analysis or actually trading, like finding bots or algorithms, developing strategies, back testing, generating fundamental reports, and so much more is on the line as well. So with this one, I would recommend, if you're going to check out the platform, take a look at the trading signals. There's a lot of ideas here across different markets as well. I was talking about the dollar CHF opportunity, this one over here, which I quite like. I mean, I do have a bullish idea on dollar CHF anyway, but it's always nice to see it backed up with other confluences as well. I'm looking for a slightly different entry to what the signal provided, but I'm looking at the same idea, stop loss in roughly the same place as well, and targets roughly the same place too. So that is the plan now for dollar Swiss. But those are the three pairs I like: dollar CHF longs, gold shorts, and USD JPY longs, which at the moment might not get some entries because it looks like USD is kind of picking up some strength. Unless we do pull back, we have to wait and see. And from a swing perspective, I like pound Aussie longs, but I'm going to wait for the day to close before judging that. I kind of want to see a strong close, maybe above resistance there. That would be a nice entry. But it looks to me that price is fading at these lows. So the way I see it, I do think price is turning and get ready for a push back to resistance 2.095, and maybe beyond that as well. So I'm pretty bullish on pound Aussie, looking for a swing trade there. Intraday, just looking to try and see if I can focus on USD for now. And maybe some buys on yen next week. It's still a little bit corrective. Buys on pound yen, but it's still a little bit corrective. Alfonso, yep, I agree. UJ best pair, I do agree for long. 400 pip move over the next few weeks. Okay, Alfonso is very bullish on dollar yen. I mean, I can see that happening as well. I'm just going to play it day by day for now. So 400 pip move, haven't really looked for that, but a push to this high here, which is about 100 pips from here, 90 pips from here, I'm definitely on board there. But I could see price breaking through that, and if we do, possibly we could be looking at a 400 pip move. But yeah, back to 150, what's that, 150, 151-ish? I can see us making that move. So I do agree. Appreciate it, Bashi. Yeah, guys, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are enjoying the content. It really does help out. Share it with your friends, hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Okay, based on the monthly engulfing candle, I'll follow up through. I have other confirmations which I'll reveal once it reaches my target. Okay, Doctor, man of many mysteries. Okay, so you're talking about the monthly candle 2 months ago. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. We do have some local resistance above us, which is probably why we've struggled a bit. But yeah, managed to break through that. That probably would be the next target. Please, if possible, GJ before you go. Okay, yeah, we can take a look at GJ. I mean, as I said, I think GJ looks good intraday, like 5-minute chart. I quite like the buys here. You can see how consistent we've been with the higher lows. I do think GJ eventually is getting ready for a big push back to the highs at 201. And we're starting to pick up some momentum again. So I did mention maybe one more push down into this demand zone, into this consolidation. And then from there, we could see the buys and potentially another higher low form. So drop into the 5-minute. I think even 1 minute looks the best, probably, yeah. I think 1 minute chart looks the best. I mean, I wouldn't trade the 1 minute, but I do think if you can get a push into this supply demand zone, respect the prior low here as well. If you can get some entries like this, you're looking really good. Because then even a push there is like a 1 to 2, maybe 1 to 3. Even a push there is like a 1 to 3, 1 to 4. And from there, I do think we can get back to these highs here and so on and so forth. I'm personally looking for a slightly more convincing move on the 50-minute chart. And then I'm looking for pullbacks maybe next week, because I'm not really prepared to drop to like the 5 or 1 minute chart. That's a little bit too intricate for me. But let's say if price does get a big move, it sweeps the highs. Now we start getting some bullish structure in play. Okay, I don't mind looking for a correction and then trading it back to highs maybe early next week. So I do think the buys are coming for pound yen. It's just a bit too early. I would still suggest this is really corrective price action. So I do want to see more momentum come into the market to give me a bit more confidence. But I am gearing up for some buys, and that will be the plan. So yeah, guys, that is the plan. All right, take care, Bashi. Appreciate it, my man. Hopefully see you next week. But guys, thank you so much for tuning into the stream. We have approached the ending. As always, I will be live again next week. So hope to see you all there, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. That is my streaming hours. So if you are interested to pop in, come chat with us, share some trades. If I'm in any trades, I'll share with you guys as well, and we can have a good time. So if you are interested, do join the live stream next week, and I'll be happy to see you all there. If you have enjoyed today's live stream, please drop a like before you leave. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, share it with your friends, all that good stuff. Does really help out. So yeah, guys, I do really appreciate that. But yeah, have a great day, guys. Have a great weekend as well. As always, I'll be posting my analysis, recapping this week, recapping any positions I took, and then forecasting the next, and also my top 3 setups for next week. So look out for that video on the weekend. That'll be posted later on Saturday. But guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Have a great day, great weekend, and I'll see you all in the new week.
Six AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. XAU, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI